Hey everybody, I'm Jody Vance.
And I'm George-affleck.
And it is time for
99 episodes of UnSpun on the wall, 99 episodes of UnSpun. Take one up. We'll be at 100 next week. 99 episodes of UnSpun on the wall. UnSpun!
almost a century of UnSpun here. George-affleck, Jody Vance. This is episode 99. We've been very, very consistent.
99 Luftballooners. 99 episodes. How many references to 99? The Wayne Gretzky of episodes.
I love that. We've reached Gretzky.
You just got to shoot the puck or whatever.
Just
what is
go to where the puck will be.
Yeah, that's what we do every week.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Any other sports analogies you like?
That's our tagline for UnSpun right there.
Ta-da! UnSpun 99. Of course, you can follow George
_
Affleck on Twitter. I'm at Jody with a Y Vance on Twitter. The Orca is where you find op-ed pieces, perhaps by George Affleck, when I can kick his butt into actually writing one, because I love it when you write. And you can read my middle there. We'll tell you more about that coming up. My columns come out on Wednesdays at theorca.ca, but some really great content there, 24/7, 365. Highly recommend that when you go to theorca.ca, you hit sign up, add your email address to get the fin, which is a direct to email in your inbox every weekday morning. McLean K does a fantastic job of curating the really specifically British Columbian news that you need from all resources and sources. So we love that.
George, unbiased and saves me time every day.
Right. It does save time every day. I feel well read when I make my way through the fin. I also feel well informed when I get to talk to you, my friend. And today we've got a lot to unpack. And of course, it's the gift that keeps on giving at City Hall in Metro Vancouver, with apologies to our friends who watch and listen from across the province. But yes, indeed, another, a big one. It was referenced as a bomb drop, because Mayor Kennedy-Stewart tweeted, "Great news! Council just backed my move to raise the empty homes tax to 3% starting next year. Tripling the EHT was a key campaign promise of mine, and I want to thank everyone who supported this move to stand up for renters and make sure homes are for people." Your thoughts, George?
Well, the bomb drop reference, I think, came from Sarah Kirby-Young, MPA. This came out of nowhere. The staff report was a 1.5% increase or 1.25% increase for the empty homes tax. And the mayor decided, based on some information he received from CMHC, which hadn't been made public yet, that rentals were doing well or something, to that effect, that this was working, and therefore we need to make it even work better, which is interesting question of law of diminishing returns in a general sense, and whether or not one policy works or another one doesn't, and how do you track that. I get a lot of heat for having voted against certain policies in my last term related to rental and taxation. And my argument always is, where is the proof that something works? And how do we know that something's working or not working? And what is the problem we're trying to solve? I would say that the reason we're seeing so many rental availabilities is more related to COVID and our crashing economy, which was already happening late last year, more than anything else. But the fact that my concern about him increasing this 3%, besides the fact that it came out of nowhere and wasn't discussed at all, what I'm worried about is his thinking that this revenue that you get from this tax is going to help the budget. The intention of this 3% tax, or this empty homes tax, the goal is to get it to zero. If it's successful, it gets to zero revenue, because the point is to get people to stop having their homes empty, and it's a punishment tax. And so if you get to zero on revenue, that means, hooray, you've done it. There's nobody with empty homes. And so it's a tax that you cannot rely on the revenue side. You can increase it and maybe it becomes more effective, but it's not cash in the bank. And so it's a really bad tax to make any budget predictions about, because it's not predictable at all. And I'm worried that the mayor is saying, oh, well, we got 30 million from it last year. If I double it, we'll get 60 million. And that's what his brain is thinking. And I think it's wrong. It's a bad way to think about taxation, and a bad way to, for expectations on a tax that is based on being redundant as soon as possible. And so that's my bigger concern is the way he's seeing how he's going to solve the major budget problem that the city of Vancouver has, and which is huge. And I don't see any creative solutions that are coming out of it. The budget they've now presented is a 5% increase in just the overall tax increase on home properties, as well as all the other tax increases, including empty homes tax, service fees, all those other things. So the taxpayers of Vancouver, at the worst time possible in the history of our city, are being relied upon to underwrite bad governance and bad management of City Hall.
And where other jurisdictions, just on the other side of a street over there and a street over there and a street over there, are somehow not doing that. Like, I'm looking around, born and raised Vancouverite, George, and I'll take the politics. This is completely unspun for me. But walking around my hometown in 2020, the garbages are overflowing, the streets are crumbling, potholes are happening, the services are not there. There's more crime, there's more homelessness, just each issue has gotten exponentially worse year over year. And the answer isn't tax the people who live here more and it will get better. There's this, the politics of this is just so misguided in my mind as a Vancouverite. As I've said here, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and I still feel it. It hurts my soul to say it. I never thought I'd ever give up on the city. I never thought I would consider moving out of Vancouver. I moved back to Vancouver from 9 years in Ontario, very successful career in Ontario. Could have stayed there, family there, whole thing. And no, I wanted to come home. And I come home, I love this city. And what's happening right now is broken. And to try and do the things that I'm watching this particular leader do now, and I watch others, and I'm not even looking at Port Coquitlam, because Port Coquitlam is a different example than Vancouver, Metro Vancouver,
yeah.
right? But Burnaby, North Vancouver, Richmond, Delta's unbelievable. I talk about the gentle density that we're seeing, and some of the bigger infrastructure pieces that are happening, and how you're helping small businesses to strive and survive. I don't see any of that happening with our mayor. And this drop bomb thing, as you mentioned, Sarah Kirby-Yung had tweeted about this, that he said he cited that CMHC report that he didn't even share with council or staff prior to. Why would you do that as mayor? Why would you not share with your staff and your council what you're bringing, because you have reason for it?
Re-election campaign has started with Kennedy-Stewart already. We already know that he's been doing emails because he also did the whole decriminalization motion, which passed unanimously. And a lot of people are going, right. What is this? It's not a very. We talked about it last week, but it's a motion. It's not about legalizing drugs. It's decriminalizing the possession of drugs. But it's something that the Vancouver Coastal Health has been aggressively asking for to the federal government. It's a federal government decision, and so it's a strongly worded letter to the federal government to ask them to decriminalize. And there is an example that we did in Vancouver with the NPA way back with the whole needle safe injection site, which was, but it was approved. It was a pilot study in Vancouver that never really went that far beyond Vancouver, to be honest. Lots of success stories about
lives.
Yeah, and so he's trying to use that as an example, a great NPA initiative. But for me, it's more about he's positioning himself for re-election, along with the emails that he sends and attacking the NPA because he sees them obviously as his biggest threat in the next election, because it's still the most organized political party in the city. So I think that it's disappointing that 2 years before there's an election, the mayor, that's all he's focused on is his re-election. When right now we're in the middle of a crisis, we've got retail going out of business, we've got people struggling, we've got besides raising taxes, what has the city of Vancouver and making patios possible? What has the city of Vancouver done for people in the city during COVID? I can't think of anything that they've done for us. And I look around, and I don't feel, the data on policing is all very interesting, but I'm at a loss at where the leadership has been in this city. And now double down on the taxation side. It's like, ouch.
Yeah, it doesn't. For me, I'm looking at the leadership overall in Metro Vancouver, or in Vancouver, the city of Vancouver. Sorry, my bad. The city of Vancouver as broken. The system's broken. Whether it's the park board in Strathcona, we're back online fighting about Stanley Park again, like the
Yes,
survey that was
sure.
and I'm like
I
blocking
wasn't.
people as fast as humanly possible. Every time somebody comes at
I
me
didn't
from
want to
Hub,
even
I'm
bring
like
that up.
block,
Yeah.
block, 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 because they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, you look a fool. Stop it. Like, dude, and mostly dudes mansplaining to me
Wow.
about the safety, their lack of safety on. Don't even get me started. But the fact that our mayor can on the day after the opioid numbers come out and the homelessness issue and the downtown east side is his jurisdiction,
Mhm.
and that he's talking about, you know what, we should tax those people with extra homes more. We should make those people who have that empty space, that who've moved to, Salt Spring and have their downtown place that they've owned for 50 years or whatever. We should really make them come back and rent that out. They should really, they should have people come over and they should vet some people while we're all being asked to go home and stay home. Like the
Yeah.
timing of this, I get it. I don't want empty homes. I don't want hollowed out neighborhoods. I want that fixed. This is not the way, and this is not the time.
No, and then we have office and retail space pushing 30% vacancy right
Oh
now.
my God.
I mean, will that ever come back? I mean, I live downtown and we rely on a vibrant, diverse neighborhood with business and residents and all that stuff that goes on downtown. If you live downtown, there's a sense that chaos has ensued and there's nobody on the streets. And
Yeah, you were saying that last week when you
yeah,
were walking home on that Thursday evening going out for a bite. And, I'm not going out, and I can. This is a walkable city and a bikeable city, and our weather isn't so bad that we can't do both of those things, but it's not as safe, and it doesn't feel right, and there are so many other things that need our attention. But we can make those decisions, as we're learning all over the world, that your vote matters. So the municipal turnout better be big in 2022, and you better know who your park board people are, and you better know who your councillors are, and you certainly better get to know your candidates for mayor, and perhaps vote for one that you've seen their record or agree with their record. I don't know. Moving towards that, so we'll move Kennedy-Stewart, off the center of our radar here. Odd to get emails, I think, from Ken Sim.
oh,
I have a number of people. I personally am not a member of any political group, but I have friends of mine who are NPA, and they were like, "Did you get an email from Ken
'cause
Sim?" I was like, "What?"
he's not with NPA anymore. So
So how did
uh,
that happen?
well, I assume he has a list because I know that almost everybody in my office got his email, and there are strict rules in Canada. Castle, the spam regulations that we have in this country. I think it's $10,000 per email per incident. So if you send 10 emails, it's
Whoa.
potential $100,000 fine. So and if there are loose regulations related to emails for politicians. If you're elected, you have some freedom to send out kind of more, unsolicited emails. But if you are not an elected official, the regulations for sending out emails without second two-step authoritative, you have to have two versions of like a two-step authorization from the people who said yes, you can email me.
Right.
That's the rule. And if you don't have
Right,
that,
multi-factor. Yeah.
if you don't have that, you're not allowed to email people. So unless you have that proof, you're breaking the castle laws, the spam laws in Canada. And so when I hear from my staff, they're all going, "What is this Ken Sim email?" And he's clearly opening a new party. He wants to run for mayor and have his own party because he's not running for the NPA. Don't know why. Why he wouldn't stick with the same party he ran with.
Yeah, why wouldn't he do that?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's been challenges with the NPA board that we've heard in the news. I'm not
Right.
involved through the NPA.
Right, the executive board.
Yeah, but there are ways to deal with that through nomination processes and signing up members and all that stuff. So I don't know, but I would say that it's a bit tiring then start getting spam emails from politicians, including the mayor, 2 years before an election. And also the fact that the mayor is building, himself, he's building these lists, he's doing all these kind of projects, everything from the decriminalization to this or that. These are all in a lot of ways to build his lists to market himself to. And I think that's not cool. And it's a classic vision move. They did that a lot. They would do these things like polling on Broadway corridor, but it would be a separate URL that they owned, and they would collect these emails. They would get the double opt-in, but they were using these lists for their own personal, re-election strategy and communication strategy.
It just seems, I don't know, wrong. If your mailing list can't be the people, you talk about the digital footprint and the collection of digital, when it's like, here's a survey, well, they're mining for your email. You say that all the time. We have to be mindful of what we sign up for. And when somebody signs up for a party's email newsletter or any type of update, that shouldn't go with someone who leaves the party, in my opinion.
No, I don't even know if it's legal, to be honest. I would say that the NPA would have a case that's not within their bylaws. I think they have a rule about that, so they certainly should be looking into it if that's the case.
It'd be a good question. Ken Sim, let us know if you're watching this. Hit me up on my DMs and tell me what the dealio is with that.
Where you got your list? Tell us where you got.
Yeah, where did you get your list exactly?
How did you get all my staff's emails?
Yeah. Hey, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19. Obviously, tons to unpack there, but certainly impacting small business. We talk about that quite a bit, but like kind of the death of retail, with one of, if not the biggest retail companies in Canada, having some serious issues.
The Bay. I mean, the 400-year-old company in Canada. It's the penultimate Canadian company. Quit them. They locked them out. The landlord locked them out. They've reopened now. The judge said they had to reopen, but they haven't been paying their rent at any of their locations. And I get it. As a business owner, it's tough out there paying rent. And because the province made a very terribly set out plan for rental recovery or anything, there was the plan that the province here did was crap. Nobody I know used it. Now the federal government has one that it just launched. It's a little bit better. It's not a ton of money for retailers and offices, but it's available. Again, the province and cities have done nothing for businesses that I've seen in BC to help us. So Hudsons Bay is suffering, and as it probably was before COVID. I think
it was actually. I mean.
Well, you look at.
I loved the Bay, and I say it. Yeah. I say it in past tense because I would go there wanting the experience of I can get anything I need in this one-stop shop. And I remember it had been a while. I think it was moving to Ontario and then coming back and going in there and saying, okay, excuse me, and someone walks by me, excuse me. No, you can't. First of all, track someone down, and then when you do, it's like, can you just point me in the direction of the kids section? And they're like, yeah, no, we don't sell children's clothing here. And I'm like, what? Where are the Buster Browns? This is where they are. This is where you buy them. What is happening here? I know.
Buster Browns, they still make those.
I don't think so. But you know what I mean? Like that's mom used to take me for my back to school outfit and my Buster Browns. And those are the clothes that I would wear to school. And then I'd come home and I'd wear my after school clothes because we didn't have enough money.
Yeah, no, I remember that Bay, Woodwards, and Eaton's. You do the tripartite or the trifecta of retailers when we were kids. Woodwards, Eaton's, Bay. Woodwards.
Oh my gosh!
And your parents always had a favorite. And I think my mom's was always Woodwards for groceries, and the Bay for everything else. Eaton's was too high end.
Right. It was very hoity-toity. We just went there to look.
Yeah.
We just went there to look. We were more of a Zellers kind of situation.
Yeah. Well,
a little bit of Zellers. Yeah. The Sears too. Yeah, Sears Catalog. Come on. Anyways, I digress. Let's go.
But that's a good point, though. That is a missed opportunity. The Sears Catalog, they had those locations, where you go into the Sears store and you'd order your stuff. And we loved getting those Sears catalogs as kids. Go straight to the toys.
Bras. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, the toy section. I'm kidding. Your boy. Come on. That
was Amazon.
Unspin that for me, George.
What's that? What?
Wait. Boys would giggle at the bra section in Sears Catalog. I grew up with brothers. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I wasn't totally offline there. But the toy section was where you'd dog ear each page that you'd circle the thing that
Yes.
you wished
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Christmas.
Absolutely.
I miss
Yeah,
that. I miss
leave it
that.
strategically placed for your parents to see.
Yeah, right.
But that was like that was Amazon, and I look at these retailers that missed that opportunity, like Sears especially. How they
Yeah,
did not see, they already had the distribution system set up.
yeah.
They had the locations in every small town across North America. They had Sears stores. If you didn't have a Sears, you had the Sears little retail space where you pick up your stuff. They
Yeah,
had
the
the,
depot.
they
Yeah.
had the distribution system, but they didn't figure out how to do it online. It's like, what a missed opportunity.
But that's
Um,
holding on to the mast, right? When the ship is sinking, instead of getting on the life raft and figuring out your new path, you're holding onto the mast, thinking,
yeah,
"I'll just stick here. I'll go down
yeah.
last." But the ship was sinking, and too many people getting paid out at the top, I think, was the piece of that unspun puzzle. How
Yeah.
about let's the talk about the column by Vaughn Palmer
Mm.
about COVID.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Keith Baldry and Vaughn Palmer. And Vaughn Palmer wrote a column saying COVID cases have gone up by 70% to what they were before the election started in September. So his argument in his column today was saying, I think there might be a relationship between calling an election and the fact that numbers have gone up significantly since then. And Keith Baldry, on the other hand, is saying this is all conspiracy theories. This is not true. It's like this is just the par for the course. We're seeing this everywhere. So I don't know, but it's certainly interesting because what we know we lost during the election campaign, and full disclosure, I ran for office. This was one of the plank issues as far as how dare you call this election now, but how
Yeah,
dare they call this election? They didn't have to, because we missed out. We missed the momentum that we had with Dr. Bonnie every day. That momentum that stopped. Everything became political.
yeah,
And
and
people
people.
took their eye off the ball. We took our eye off the game.
Yeah,
Go back to our hockey analogies. To where was the puck going? We lost.
yeah.
We didn't keep track of the puck, now the puck is in God knows where, and we're seeing massive amounts of increase. We're seeing it averaging now. It's gone down a bit in the last few days, but the death rate is really the worst it's been.
Concerning for sure.
And
All of it is very concerning, and we knew a second wave was coming. So there's that. So in all my time spent talking with Keith, he has a very unique perspective on the numbers and the data, because he deep dives into this the way you and I just simply do not. From a perspective of just a layperson, I looked at my people around me, my friends, my family, my circle, my beyond my bubble. The conversation shifted once the election was called to a feeling of, well, if they're calling an election,
in,
clearly I can move freely about the city or about my world again. Sure, I have to wash my hands and have to wear a mask and da da da, but they wouldn't call an election if this was a true state of emergency second wave. People loosened up because of the optics of an election. So many people obviously voted by mail. Many people voted in
but it was the
advance, and
worst
it was
turnout in history.
totally. I'm giving you my
Yeah, yeah,
perspective. I get it. But from the perspective of, did I feel in danger because of this election call? No. Was my perspective that it was sort of a loosen up, if you will, because we're gonna go to the polls, and the messaging did shift, and people, you and I are an inch wide and a mile deep on these subjects, and most people just aren't. They're an inch wide and a mile deep on what's happening on the Crown. Have you or have you not watched the Queen's Gambit? What's the latest binge watch, or have you watched the latest stand up, or da da da, whatever, or distracted by US politics, frankly. So this all kind of comes together as one huge mess that I think can be attributed to that pivot to just being like, well, we can win a majority if we send people to the polls right now.
And I think that the momentum, and of course, that's the reason he called the election, because he knew that he wouldn't have this momentum forever.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Horgan,
There's
and
no question.
we were seeing it in Ontario. Doug Ford, who just a few months ago was like, wow, Doug Ford's doing amazing. Suddenly they do an audit. They're saying, actually, there's some problems here. And in Alberta, we're seeing the same thing. The media are starting to get out the knives, and they're starting to, really
Did
go
you
out.
hear what happened today? Today, you might not have heard this one, but it has come to light that there have been instances where Jason Kenney's government in Alberta has completely disregarded Dr. Henschel's. Henschel?
They're,
Now,
the
I'm
chief
double
medical
checking
officer.
the public, chief public health officer in Alberta. Oh my goodness, I can see her face, and now I'm getting her mixed up with a friend of mine's last name. Anyways, you know who I'm
Yeah,
saying. The Alberta public health officer, who's
bad
the
COVID.
science, right?
Mhm.
She's on top of this. Apparently, the Kenney government was like, "Yeah, no, we're gonna go our own way on this one, Doc."
And
Um,
it's not unusual that as we work our way through the emotions that we had and we cut a slack on
yeah,
every government, the only guy who didn't benefit from and get a popular boost was Trump, who did went the wrong way on the issue. If he had gone the route of us or any other province or any other, he would have won the election 100%. But
yeah,
he didn't,
he
and
did not.
generally most politicians have been beloved over the last because of their response. Everywhere. But
But you can
that,
feel that tension changing, as you were
yes,
saying.
it
Like
doesn't
it's,
last forever. It doesn't that
yeah, it doesn't.
ever in anything.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
your momentum, and eventually that ends. There's always a fall of the chosen one, and now we're seeing that in its own. It's starting when you see that kind of column from Vaughn Palmer. You're going, okay, now we're starting to see some. We're poking at the issue here, and we're going to start seeing more of that and more requests for, hey, what were the decisions we made the right decisions?
yeah.
These are questions that you actually can't answer without some time.
Accountability. Yeah,
Well,
but
time
accountability
because
as well. Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't know because we didn't know what the hell this was in March. But now we're going, oh, we should have done it this way, or we had this evidence, or blah blah blah. Now you have information that shows, okay, if we pivoted here or done that, not had an election, we would be in a different situation now. And so the heat needs to be on, certainly on the elected now. They got their
yeah.
majority. Put the heat on, man. I want them. They better do their job like hardcore now, whatever that might be. And there is no room for error as far as
And there are no
you
excuses
put
because you
yourself
do
in a
have a majority.
situation.
Yes.
Yeah, you've lost your partnerships with the other two parties. So you've
Yeah.
lost half the province's support, electorally, because you now have a majority in the way it works. You now are on your own in this one. And I think you see that through the Liberals posts and the Green Party. They'll just let them fry. And so
Yeah.
they'll just say, oh, it's your job. And so, which is too bad because I
It
think we
is.
had alignment. All parts of the political spectrum were together, working together, and that made us feel more okay.
Yeah.
They're together. Let's do
That's
this.
what our
Now we
leaders
don't have that.
should
And
be doing, but that's not
no, we don't have.
historically what happens, nor is it what is currently happening. And particularly, I mean, certainly on a provincial level, but on the federal level, you can see it now because the headline is shifted from COVID relief to where the hell are the vaccines going to come from and what's the time? Like
A lot of questions.
there's this urgency, like this peppering of questions, and really, if you listen enough, if you listen often enough, the question has been answered 9,000 times. We don't have capacity to make these vaccines domestically, so we
We're a
are
small country.
beholden,
We're a small
right?
country, everybody. We're not.
Very,
Britain has, almost, more than two times our population, and the United States has 10 times our population. So,
yeah. We're
in
California.
yeah, and
We're
so
California.
we don't have the facility to do this. And so Trudeau is trying to do this dance, and there's this question of, well, you're not telling us everything. Where is happening? What's happening with the vaccine? And he honestly can't answer that question because we first of all, we don't have a vaccine yet. Everybody, we don't. It's not fully proven.
No,
They haven't got. None of them have finished their final trials, and that
no.
probably won't. So we don't actually have a vaccine that we know will work.
Hey, Debbie Downer, stop
No, but the
with the probably won't.
well, no,
Stop that.
no. I mean, we probably won't have they probably won't go to a. They're not going to go the usual final as a vaccine. They're
Oh,
not doing
gotcha.
the
Okay,
usual
okay.
due
Sorry,
diligence.
I thought you were like,
No, 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 no,
their vaccines aren't coming. I'm like,
no, no,
okay,
no.
god damn.
No, I mean, we're the pace we're going on this is crazy, and we're going to
But
take a
here's
bit
the
more risk.
deal. But here's the deal. Like, if we do get just enough to protect the most vulnerable, that's something,
Mhm.
right? Like, and I'm always trying to find the cup half full. I really am. And asking the prime minister or asking any leader over and over and over and over and over and over and over isn't going to change what we will be able to get. And I saw a couple of tweets actually about sort of the ravenous nature of the news cycle about vaccine availability and where Canada stands in that, because the prime minister has said, we're probably in line behind the United States, Germany, and the UK. We will get 3 or 6 million doses, and each person needs 2 doses. So really, 3 million people will be able to get that emergency dose. In the first run of what we have access to on the first of the number
Right.
of vaccines. So it's complex, and if all five get the thumbs up, we'll have more.
I think
And
it's an ego hit, though, don't you think? I think Canadians always think, well, we're one of the better big, we're the big
yeah,
country, we're a big country. We're a
yeah,
big country space wise, but
yeah,
we're a small country, and we have to live with the fact that we don't have a manufacturing facility to manage
no.
this like India does,
And
like
we can
China does.
cope. I mean, with the exception of our most vulnerable communities, our remote communities, and our most vulnerable elders and frontline workers, in those who work in long-term care homes, or first responders, firefighters, police, EMTs. Like, aside from those people, we're pretty lucky as a country goes in being able to manage COVID-19. We have the space, we have the ability. Our food security is solid. There's a lot to be grateful for here. And perhaps when we're looking at the vaccine, we're not the seagulls and Finding Nemo going mine, 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 and we are a little bit more philanthropic about how this all rolls out. As long as our most vulnerable are protected, that's kind of where my head goes. But
Well, and I think we have to be proud that, and in fact, one of the vaccines has got a Canadian connection. But
yeah,
we need to be like, where this thing really, started in March for most of us, and we know it started maybe in December or whatever. But the fact that we've managed to get to this point on a vaccine side is impressive. And I
yeah,
know it's scary and it's frustrating for all of us to have to wait a year potentially or more before we're finally out of this. But that's a miracle, to be honest.
yeah,
How
it is.
I mean, that's like, and the death rates is in some places is really bad, but I'd say in Canada we're still doing pretty good. And I think, we have to really go, this is not, we're lucky, and we need to focus on,
Stand by.
there is an end
Take
game.
your mask. Sorry, my son's just leaving for
Take the
school. Get
mask.
your mask, right?
Got to wait a year,
Thanks,
buddy.
buddy.
In 1
Yeah.
year, maybe
And
not.
we're 1 year. But wouldn't that be great? Like, if we focus on the fact that a year from now, kids will be in school and safe and full time, and businesses can rebuild, and people will start traveling again, and doing the
Yeah.
things that we took for granted before. There's a lot of that. And I kind of have a little bit of whimsy in my column this week, that I think in the meantime, in the time between now and whenever that some semblance of normalcy returns, I think we need to really truly focus on the education behind what will keep us safe, because a vaccine will not help you if you get sick with COVID-19. That is a big note for everybody. So this whole, like, there's a vaccine coming, I'm fine. It's like, no, you're not. So in the meantime, maybe come up with something to distract us, George.
Like what?
I don't know.
Listening to Unspun, for example, like a
Listen to
morning.
Unspun is a good one. But I mean, maybe if we dropped like little hints in Unspun and people had to listen to it,
Oh
and
yes, your column. I get
right?
that.
See where I'm going
I
now?
know, because I get I
Yeah.
like about promotions and doing something with the province. And I like the idea of paying some of these agencies that are suffering to do these. There's people who are experts at creating excitement about ideas and working with radio, TV, digital, print.
It's a
And
why not do a virtual treasure hunt, a scavenger hunt,
yes,
a car rally that doesn't require a car, like something that captures our attention. And the big thing is, it has to have a big payoff, or a number of large payoffs, so people feel like they can win, and they can, that it's not illegitimate in that sense, not super cumbersome with sponsors and ads and whatever, but actually just about getting people informed on public health orders. Because at the end of the game, you have finalists, and the skill testing questions are time sensitive, and they're all about public health orders. So do you know the pieces of the puzzle that will keep you safe in COVID-19? Because people are tuned out, and they've got COVID fatigue, and they're tired of it. But if everybody can kind of be all in on something fun, I can liken it to the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the
mhm.
golden ticket hidden in a chocolate bar, right? Got everybody buying chocolate. Remember the grandparents that were bedridden at the beginning of the movie? And by the end of the movie, they were going on the tour of Willy Wonka's factory when they won the golden ticket. Like, we just need to get everybody who's fatigued up back out of bed and pulling
Time
them.
to get creative.
Yeah,
We're going into year 2 of this thing. You can't rely on the same old, same old. In marketing, as you know, having worked as a marketer in radio when you first started, and I own a
yeah,
marketing agency, you got to keep it fresh, and you got to keep people interested and excited and engaged, and whatever that might be. And we have a lot of creative people in this province that could probably come up with a million ideas. And if you're going to look at funding that kind of stuff for the province,
right? Instead of billboards that people aren't going to see because they're not driving around, and ads on conventional television. Sorry, I love conventional
well,
TV,
no,
but everybody's watching streaming
it could be
services.
that. We don't know. It could be that. Let's let the creative people do their creative thing. But
let's do it. Maybe that's it.
The province
find it in the news hour.
The province needs to get creative about how they do the next year ahead, because we got a year of this. So get creative, province. Read Jody's call.
And EA Sports, call me. We've got the tech in our town. We could totally do this. Read the column at theorca.ca. And of course, you're always tuning into UnSpun. If you like what you heard, share it with your friends. Let's inform one another. It helps. And yeah, George.
See you in 100. At 100 next week.
See you in a century. Ahead by a century.
Oh, I'll have to learn the words to that one. Well, you could sing it.
Yeah, I could. But I won't.
Bye.
Bye.